Solutions are good. In our times, the great challenge facing us is to make a world of peace and justice for all. Meeting that challenge entails our working for equality and justice on many levels and in many arenas. We need justice for immigrants, an end to war and violence, a country that gives a fair deal to all, strong efforts to save our planet from ecological destruction. And one level that touches us all is the whole need to work with women to achieve gender equity. Families are strengthened and made whole when men and women live in a society characterized by equality between men and women. Terrorists don't come from lands where women enjoy equality. Is it nuts to suggest women be treated equally at an all-male dinner of this kind? Well, I did say we Irish are crazy and contradictory, but I belong to an all-male organization that I think works for equality for all. The Sons of St. Patrick can do the same. And I'm sure your wives are happy to get rid of you for one night. Men, though, tonight I do urge you to love the women in your life. You love your wives. I know you love your wives. You all say, happy wife, happy life. I know you love your daughters. You are going to pay for your daughters' weddings. You think Jesuit education is expensive? Wait till you meet a wedding planner. Women save us. You guys know that. You know the most important woman in your life is your wife. Here, at this happily all-male celebration, let the word go forth. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick are dedicated to making the world fair and equitable for all, especially women. We want the women we love, your wives, your daughters, our sisters, our nieces, our friends, to be treated with respect and care, equal pay for equal work. To build a strong and just society, we need strong and loving families. And to have good families, we need men to love their wives. We need to teach our sons to respect women and treat them as equals. The challenges and difficulties of marriage and family life make working for successful and happy families all the more imperative. Life is complicated, difficult, and often messy. A sobbing Mrs. Marie O'Grady is sitting in the back of the church. Father Murphy approaches her after Mass. He asks Marie, "What's the matter?" "Oh, Father, I have terrible news. My husband died last night." "Oh, Marie, how sad. Did he have any last requests?" "Oh, yes, Father. His last words were, 'For God's sake, Marie, put down that gun.'" Don't be like the O'Gradys. Work to solve family issues. There was an old Irish guy here in Scranton 2 days before Christmas. And he calls up his son in Los Angeles. He says, "Bobby, I hate to tell you, but your mother and I are getting a divorce." "What?" yells his son. "Don't do anything. I'm going to fly home right away." The brother calls his sister in London, tells her the news. She immediately calls home. "What is the matter with you two? Don't do anything until Bobby and I get home. You are not getting a divorce." The old man hangs up the phone, smiles at his wife and says, "Done. They're both coming home for Christmas and they're paying their own way." We all want good and loving homes. Let's ask God to give us the graces we need to form families wherein we live and love wisely and well. So, gentlemen, that's the message. Love your wives. Build strong and loving families. Your wives want you to do so. Your children want you to do so. The Friendly Sons of St. Patrick want you to do so. The Pope wants you to do so. God wants you to do so. And if you ask, Father Keller will be able to get you my new number at that parish in Alaska. Gentlemen, enjoy the evening. Thank you all for being here. God bless you, and God bless the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County.
Thank you, Father Malloy, for the clever, humorous stories and meaningful ideas. It was exceptional. The quick Jesuit wit that you are known for was well shown this evening. The students at the U are very fortunate to have you. Thank you. Moving forward, is it a tradition within our society to acknowledge an outstanding leader in our community at the dinner each year? I will now call back our Friendly Sons president to present the 2016 award.
Let it rest.
Thank you, Joe. Gentlemen, Attorney General Robert Kennedy famously spoke before us in 1964 and commissioned us with the task of looking to our fellow Americans who have not progressed, who have not attained their full share of liberty as we all enjoy here today. While he was speaking at a different time in our country's history, the prejudices and challenges of which he spoke may have morphed and abated, but they certainly have not vanished. He implored us to let the least of those among us know that we have not forgotten the constancy, the faith, and the hope that is the Irish. Several months after I was installed as president, I read an article in the Scranton Times regarding the approaching retirement of Monsignor Joseph Kelly. Recalling Bobby Kennedy's charge to us, I realized that now was the time for us to honor and recognize Monsignor Kelly for his tireless service to our community. Monsignor began his priestly career as a teacher in local Catholic schools, including Scranton Prep and later Camp St. Andrew. During his impressive career, he served in a number of interesting and important roles, including as director of Father Flanagan's Boys Town in Omaha, Nebraska. However, he is best known as a servant leader and advocate for the poor, as executive director of Catholic Social Services for the Diocese of Scranton. In 2015, he said, "I have a warm bed and a means of transportation and food every day. I am blessed to work with people who are striving so hard to attain those basic necessities. They encourage me about society, and they can still smile and say thank you and God bless you." Gentlemen, I can think of no one who has taken on Mr. Kennedy's charge and heard the words of Father Malloy through the constancy of his own faith, shown hope to those most in need, more than Monsignor Joseph Kelly, the recipient of the 2016 President's Award. Gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Monsignor Kelly to receive the podium the President's Award. The President's Award of the Society of Friendly Sons of St. Patrick of Lackawanna County is presented to Monsignor Joseph P. Kelly in grateful recognition of a life of service to the faithful and needy of our community, bestowed on the occasion of our 111th annual dinner. Christopher Kelly, President. Congratulations.
Bishop Bambera, members of the head table, President Chris Kelly, I am deeply honored to be joining the distinguished group that is listed in the program as past recipients of the President's Award. It has been my honor and privilege to have served as the Diocesan Director of Catholic Social Services of the Diocese of Scranton, and to continue as Director of St. Francis of Assisi Kitchen in Scranton. I accept this in the name of over 2,000 volunteers and over 200 employees of Catholic Social Services who feed, clothe, and house the poor. This includes sheltering 80 to 90 men and women tonight, and some 30 children in 4 family shelters and 3 adult shelters. Tonight, we will be housing 77 homeless veterans. And today, we have fed over 900 men, women, and children, as we do every day of the year. In the name of St. Patrick, in the name of your Irish Catholic heritage, please, please, do not forget the poor among us. May you always have work for your hands to do. May your pockets hold always a coin or two. May the sun shine bright on your window pane. May the rainbow be certain to follow each rain. May the hand of a friend always be near you. And may God fill your hearts with gladness to cheer you. God bless you all, and thank you.
My father was very disappointed when he saw the photograph in the President's Award in the program and realized it was another Joseph Kelly. Just for the record, Monsignor Kelly is not related, although after hearing of his extraordinary life, we certainly wish he was. Congratulations, Monsignor Kelly. Tonight I am extremely happy to announce that our principal lay speaker is Brian O'Malley. Brian is first generation Irish American who holds dual citizenship in Ireland and the United States. Brian's father was the youngest of 14 and raised on a farm in County Clare. When it came time to build his own career, the farm was firmly in the hands of his older brothers. So like many of our ancestors, he left his home and everything he knew and came to America in 1951, seeking opportunity. Brian's father met his mother here in New York. They married and had 7 children. Our speaker was the oldest of those 7. He has said of his upbringing that as an Irish Catholic, my father taught me about the sanctity of the Mass, about the responsibility to work hard, and the importance of leadership in the family, at your business, and in your community. Mr. O'Malley clearly took these lessons to heart. He has twice been named in the top 100 Irish leaders in corporate America by Irish American Magazine. In 2001, Mr. O'Malley was named the president and CEO of Domino Foods, the largest sugar company in America. In one generation, the O'Malleys went from the fields of County Clare to the heights of success in American business. Mr. O'Malley resides in Middletown, New Jersey with his wife, former Maureen Flanagan, and their 3 children. Their daughter Erin is a teacher and a graduate of Rowan University. Kevin is a freshman at Fordham University. His brother Michael is a finance major at our own University of Scranton. Brian has been a previous guest of Shane Shanley at our dinner, and Brian was kind enough to come to Scranton and join my father, brother, and a few others at Sibio's. I can tell you, in the time I was able to spend with him, we unanimously came away with a great feeling about the character of the man. He's a true gentleman and our kind of Irish. Please welcome Brian O'Malley.
Bishop Bambera, Reverend clergy, honored members of the dais, and friendly sons all, I feel greatly honored to be here tonight and to be invited to speak to you at this great occasion. I want to thank Joe Kelly for that very kind introduction. The exaggerations were just as I gave them to you, and I can hardly wait to hear what I have to say. I hope you're not as disappointed as my then 10-year-old daughter, Erin, when she learned that my new job as CEO of Domino Foods had absolutely nothing to do with Domino Pizza. I am very happy to be here in Scranton and to be part of this great tradition. I realize that I am only a visitor, but with my son Michael in his 2nd semester of his senior year at the University of Scranton, I'm hardly a stranger. Michael isn't here tonight. He said he had to go to Orlando with the men's tennis team. Personally, I think it's a story he concocted to get out of having to listen to me speak without the chance to interrupt me, which hardly ever happens. My other son, Kevin, he's the one who's the freshman at Fordham. He couldn't come up with an excuse quick enough, so he is here tonight. Sitting with Kevin is my good friend Marty Holleran. Marty, now a fellow New Jerseyan, has also become my business and life mentor. Marty's brother Charlie, also a dear friend, is here as well. The Hollerin' Boys are Southsiders. I've learned that's the way that you describe people from that part of Scranton, who moved away years ago, although we are fairly certain they're still voting here. They're both graduates of the U, as I've learned everybody calls it. Both also went on to very successful careers as executives, Marty for more than a quarter century with General Electric, and Charlie with companies such as IBM, Coca-Cola, and Ford. I've learned a lot about Scranton from both of them. For example, I know that no visit is complete without a stop at Coney Island or Chick's Diner. Thank you guys for being here tonight, and thank you especially for making sure Kevin doesn't try to sneak out while I'm busy up here. You may have seen the Scranton Times-Tribune article about my exalted role here tonight. I owe them a special thanks for illustrating me with the picture of my first communion. I saw the article online, which is great because readers add comments, so you really get to understand what they are expecting. So, one fan who called himself Same Old clearly thought that having a sugar industry executive was a great idea. But he wanted everyone to know, and I quote, "Sugar is as bad as cigarettes." Well, I take issue with that, obviously. Sugar is not as bad as cigarettes, unless, of course, you smoke 3 packs of sugar a day. And then there was Mary. Now, she's also a fan. And Mary offered a toast to all of us here tonight. And her toast was diabetes for everyone on March 17th. Well, just to be clear, no one can get diabetes simply by listening to me speak. Sleepy perhaps, but nothing more serious than that. Not that sugar had nothing to do with my invitation here tonight. Your president for this year, Chris Kelly, has a father and brother that both have a flourishing dental practice here in Scranton. So I'm thinking that the invitation is their way of giving something back to our industry. Sort of like a great big thank you for keeping their waiting room full over the years. So as I said, this is a great honor, but I'm not sure it's a big favor. How would you feel stepping up to a podium that in the past 110 years has hosted any number of cardinals, bishops, governors, senators, presidents, vice presidents, and a prime minister or two? I don't know what you would feel like, but it makes me feel like the world is a tuxedo, and I'm a pair of brown shoes. Whatever their color, I am fully aware of the shoes I'm expected to fill and how small my size 13s feel at the moment. So I intend to make up in brevity what I lack in eloquence. As I said, I'm a visitor, but there's something about Scranton that makes it feel like home. Maybe because I've learned I have a background that is so similar to so many people up and down the Lackawanna River Valley. I was born in 1956 in New York City to Ed and Elizabeth O'Malley. As Joe mentioned, Dad had arrived from County Clare 6 years before and met my mom at an Irish dance. Mom was born in New York to Irish immigrants, Michael Fahey by way of Galway, and Nellie Brown from Waterford. Let me tell you about how they met. Their first date was Dad's first time in an Italian restaurant. He was anxious not to reveal his lack of culinary experience. So when Mom ordered spaghetti and meatballs, he did the same. I can't imagine how he mastered the art of spinning spaghetti, but I think she knew what she was up against when the waiter asked if he would like anything else, and he responded, mashed potatoes. 2 years later, Mom married him anyway. 7 children were plenty for my mother, but as the youngest of 14, my father always felt he had underachieved. They celebrated 50 years of marriage before my father passed on March 22nd, 2005, which was Tuesday of Holy Week, and I was not the least bit surprised that God called him back during such a special time in the church calendar. Let me tell you about the neighborhood I grew up in, New Jersey. It was heavily Irish Catholic and could have been transplanted to Manuka because the number of children exceeded the number of rooms in the house. Despite a lack of finances and the requisite grades to go there, you were a fan of Notre Dame. You had at least one friend named Sully, two named Murph, and at least one person in your family had red hair. You had everything you needed and some of what you wanted, and for no specific reason, you always felt guilty about something. I am told that Jewish mothers wrote the book on management by guilt, but I'll put Liz O'Malley up against any one of them any day of the week, and she would win. I think I was a teenager before I realized that Irish Catholic was actually 2 words. Saturday confession, Sunday Mass, inseparable. It wasn't even an option, and Sunday dinner was something right out of the TV series Blue Bloods, with plenty of banter and enough to feed our frequent guests, Father Duggan, Collins, and Williams. But my father taught more by example than words. He was deeply spiritual, prayed the rosary, and was unapologetically devoted to the Blessed Mother. My parents were part of an immigrant generation that was glad to have a job and glad to work hard in pursuit of their much more modest version of the American dream. Humor and wit mitigated whatever hardship they faced. That generation contributed much to America's culture, arts, music, and dance, but they also quickly assimilated into the culture that they found here. They adopted American sports like football and baseball, even if they could seldom afford to see a game in person. And they were party animals. If you define party as a dance at St. Veronica's Parish, which they organized, attended, and helped clean up after. Whatever success I have enjoyed in my career, I can attribute directly to something my parents made happen or did without. They made sure I had opportunities that were beyond their grasp. That education was a priority, that I understood the importance of doing my very best. If I have a strong work ethic, it's because I inherited it directly from them. They set an example I have tried to follow in helping shape the lives of my own children. Like my parents, I tried to do this by deeds, not words. One example is the way I try to start every day, by attending Mass. I can't always do it, but the days that I can are invariably my very best. I've known people in business who think that they can draw a clear and rigid line between their personal lives and their work lives. I have never tried to do so. I don't know how to be one person at home and another at work. I accept the fact that I bring all my strengths and my shortcomings to work with me each morning, and I bring them right back at home at night. Those attributes have been shaped by my life's experiences and heavily influenced by the Irish roots that we celebrate here tonight and the gift of faith from my forefathers. And I carry those 2 influences from my ancestry and from my faith with me every day. They inform my leadership skills, help me recover from my mistakes, and remind me that my successes are usually with the help of God and a lot of other people. The patience and tolerance I learned at home helped me deal respectfully with critics of my industry, who would place singular blame for a long list of today's health problems on a product that has been around for thousands of years. Long before portions became gigantic, exercise was replaced by video games, and busy lives made it easier to satisfy hunger with fast foods rather than healthier fruits and vegetables. Anyone who leads a business has signed up to make some tough calls, and I've certainly faced my share. When you have to make a call that will affect a lot of people, you can feel pretty lonely. But at the most pressing moments, what I learned at home and the faith that blesses my life make those burdens a lot more bearable. I have learned the importance of caring for people. I truly care for all the people who work for our company, and am ever mindful of all the families who depend on our success. I care about the consumers who purchase our products. I care about the larger community of people who live within the communities where we operate. It is personally important to me that we are stewards of the environment, that we help those who are less fortunate, and that we are honest in everything that we do. When making decisions, these are the things that I think about. At last year's dinner, Vice President Joe Biden mentioned that when you meet people from his hometown, they are just as likely as not to tell you their name and then proudly say, "From Scranton, Pennsylvania." It rang clear to me and reminded me that sometimes you just get lucky. Exactly 3 years ago, at a St. Patrick's Day luncheon in Philadelphia, a person I would come to know and greatly respect stuck out his hand and said, "Tom Cummings, from Scranton, Pennsylvania." For those of you who don't know Tom Cummings, and I suspect it will be very few, since he was memorialized in last year's program and he's a past president of this Friendly Sons group, he was the very embodiment of all that Scranton represents. He was the city's greatest ambassador. He was a lifelong resident of Dunmore, had his own table at Scipio's, served our country as part of the Japan occupation forces from 1946 to 1948, and graduated from the U in 1952 with a BS in accounting. He and his wife Marie would have 7 children and celebrate more than 50 years of marriage. He was a devoted follower of St. Anne, attending annual and weekly novenas for more than 75 years. If we could all be just a little bit like Tom Cummings. As I recall that afternoon, I didn't add from Middletown, New Jersey when I responded to Tom's greeting. But I did mention that my oldest son was a freshman at the U. And that started one of those wonderful 6 degrees of separation moments that turned out to be only 1 degree. Because he said his daughter taught religion at the university. And I said, "Oh, my son is taking a religion class." And he said, "Who's the teacher?" And for God only knows why, I actually knew that his teacher was Professor Dermody. And he said, "Professor Dermody is my daughter Ellen." Clearly fate was working overtime. We already had our Irish roots, our Catholic faith, and now Scranton in common. We were meant to meet, and through Tom I met other from Scranton people like Scranton businessmen Shane Shanley and Joe Perfilio, and also Father Kevin Quinn and Father McElhaney, as he is more affectionately known, Father Mac. All have become close friends because in Tom Cummings I saw a man that in many ways reminded me of my father. He was a man proud of his Irish roots, his Catholic faith, and the city he called home. And though I don't know all the details, I'm pretty sure that chance meeting 3 years ago is the reason I've had this opportunity to share a few moments with all of you tonight. So early I promised you brevity, so let me close with one final thought. 52 years ago, Bobby Kennedy addressed this very dinner in what I understand was one of his very first public appearances after the death of his brother the previous November. And earlier that year, President Kennedy, feeling a special kinship for the people of a city far from his home, nonetheless proclaimed himself a citizen of a much beleaguered West Berlin when he said, "Ich bin ein Berliner." Well, I think I finally understand that when you feel welcome, sense the kinship, and share the pride, it's okay to proclaim you're one of them. And for that reason, I hope that you will allow me the honor of proclaiming, at least for tonight, I am Brian